You know what a really prominent part of real life is? People. Be it for better or for worse, if you go outside, you'll probably see some of them. Well, maybe not these days, and don't go outside either. But my point still stands. People exist, apparently. So I think it's high time some of them migrated into my game. Hey everyone, Uni here, and welcome to another devlog of my as-yet unnamed indie game I'm developing in Pygame. And first of all, thank you to everyone who's played the test build from my last devlog, and all the other support you've been giving during this bout of development. I suffered from a bit of burnout or something, so I'm sorry that this video might feel a little off. And last thing before the video starts, this time I wrote the script after everything, because the script I wrote while it was going on was a mess. That kind of doesn't matter, but oh well. I said it anyway. The first thing needed when adding a completely new thing to my game is always to set up a class for it. So I made an NPC class to store NPCs' names, coordinates, and social functions, etc. Now, classes are good and all, but without code, they're just piles of useless variables. So we need a way to use them. First up, displaying sprites. Simple enough, just the draw function I've used so many times before. So it's time for something complicated. Social interaction. So I made a function that does stuff. Stuff, meaning reads from an NPC's list of interactions, chooses the right one, and displays the right UI. But currently there is no UI, so what do? I draw some generic windows, which will be updated eventually, and got them displaying in the right places. Now with the UI done, it's time for shops, because they're one of the things NPCs can do. And it was complicated, and the other stuff wasn't. And it's honestly just far too much maths just for working out how items should be displayed in rows with consistent spacing and line breaks in the right place. Actually, phrasing it like that makes it sound like it should be complicated, but I got some code working for it, so it looks like your average game's shopping window, items, info when you hover, click to buy, etc, etc. Except it doesn't look as good because the art for it is terrible currently. One key thing needed for shops is money. But how does one get money? Well, there's two ways to in my game. But before I reveal them, this episode was meant to be all about people, so I think it's the perfect time to introduce you to my new helper on this project. Matt, a few words if you will.
Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm going to be helping work on the game. We've got lots of cool ideas coming up, so watch this space. If you want to find out more about my work, check the link in the description. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. He's already been working on some things which we will talk about next time. And back to capitalism. Primary way is going to be handing in monsters. As you know, monsters can be caught with the net, but now you can take them back to the surface and hand them in to our nice dungeonologist for a prize. And I just realised that I forgot to actually program that in, but I'll get round to it eventually. Sorry for shouting, I'm hoping that will echo into the future and remind me to do it. Anyway, I got distracted there and nearly forgot the second way. Loot drops. I made a loot drop that gives you a few arbitrarily valued monetary units and marked it as ultra rare on the leveled loot list. Now those of you who've been paying any amount of attention might have noticed that I mentioned talking about taking things back to the surface. But how do you get back, you might ask? By dying, of course, except you also lose stuff when dying, so that's not a good method. Luckily I thought of another method. Optional return points at random intervals. But how should the intervals be marked? Have them appear when you defeat bosses. Bosses? Well, bosses are powerful enemies that have a whole floor to themselves and will give a good item when killed, and let you return to the surface. So I made a class for them, which is basically enemies, but spicy, and I filled in details for the only somewhat finished boss concept, the Void Frog. This guy. Terrifying, I know, but not in the right ways. As a boss in an RPG, he gets to have a more complicated AI than a regular enemy, and because of how terribly I coded this, the easiest way to do that is by making a boss be made of multiple enemy objects with a shared health, and with each different attack, they get discreetly swapped to the object that has the needed move, or even have multiple parts of them on screen at once. Also, regular enemies can have triggered... What the hell? Regular enemies can have triggered spawns on boss floors as like extra pests and way to get health and ammo during fights if you need it. It was at this point that my burnout got too much to handle, like enough for me to realise that I wasn't going to make any progress unless I worked on something different for a bit. So with that said, I'm sorry if this log was a little bit short, but I sadly have to end it here. Thank you all so much for coming. I love you all very, very much. And if you're not already subscribed, you now legally have to. And with that all said, thank you again, and I will see you all next time. Bye! Oh, so you made it to the end of the video. Well, now there are 4 things I need you to do. I need you to go down into the description and... Hold on, no, that's not right. First thing I need you to do is subscribe to my channel and like this video. Is that 1 thing or 2 things? I don't know. Doesn't matter how many things there are, you need to do them. You need to subscribe, and then you need to join the 2 Discord servers in the description. Thanks. Also, this video is sponsored by Catholic Rage.